Mommy Mondays. And I have the amazing, the incomparable, the outstanding dad, Mr. Leonard McCrary, with me. Leonard, can you
Yes.
hear me nice and clear? Am I coming
I,
in clear?
yes, you are coming in clear, loud and clear.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad you guys are tuning in with me today. I'm so excited to have Mr. McCrary with me. I always love when I have a dad. We don't get dads often on Mommy Mondays. He's my second
Yes.
dad.
Representing
I
for the
feel
dads.
I feel like the dads have something to say too. So, I want to give him a chance to kind of tell his truth, tell his story. But if you are watching this on the playback and this is on YouTube, please click the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Boom, boom, boom. And I look forward to being able to do the replay info with you and everything later on. So listen, of course, you guys know that we start Mommy Mondays off with drink in hand.
Yes.
Okay. And a little vocals. Y'all, I talked to Lynn about this before we got started. He's gonna help me lay this down because some Mondays the throat might not be working right. So
Yeah, we're gonna get
we
it right.
talked about we're gonna get it right, put it all together so I don't have to sing it every time. But for today, we're gonna make sure that everything is good to go. So here we go. Hopefully you guys can hear this. And again, shout out to Mike. Mike went to high school together. Just inbox me something random. Hey, El, you got a track to your song? Do you want something? I said yes, and he produced. So here we go. Mommy Monday, go and grab yourself a little drink while we have ourselves a little chat. Now, Mommy Monday. You hear that?
Hey,
I got a little track. I got a little track.
hey, and
And we
another
do it
one,
game.
and
And another
another
one.
one.
So Leonard and I have actually already been talking. It's kind of good that way. So that way we're already kind of in a flow for everything. But let me tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
You say you're gonna tell them?
You tell them.
Oh, I thought you said you was gonna tell them. Okay, run that back.
No, you tell them who you are. We already know your name, but who you
Okay.
are, what you do, and why you do it.
That's a broad question. Okay, I'm Leonard McCrary. I am a father of five. Every time I say that, people they always hit me with the five.
With
Right,
the whole hand.
exactly. Um, but man, I do some of everything. I guess the modern day Renaissance man. It's nothing that I don't do. If I don't know how to do it, I'm gonna try to do it. If I don't do it right, I'm gonna keep on doing it till I get it right.
Mm, which is rare.
Um, right. I work at a high school. I'm a former soldier like you. Um, I do everything, man. Do everything.
Why do you do it?
Um, that's a good question. It depends on what I'm doing. Um, I'm a
Why do
filmmaker.
you? I'm gonna ask you a very question then, since it
Okay.
depends on what it is. Why do you sacrifice the way you do for your family?
Because I just feel like my family is my duty, my responsibility. I do want to build and leave a legacy behind, and I just want to build a strong blueprint. Unfortunately, sometimes, what I've noticed, a lot of people of color, we aren't left with things. So it's like a continuous cycle of having to start over, build from the ground up. And I don't want my kids and my family to have to do that. So that's why I go so hard. That's why I sacrifice so much. So they don't have to continue that cycle of starting from the ground up trying to build something.
Right. And what you said is just so important. I think that too often Black and brown communities, our children have to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have anything to build on. They're trying to figure it out as adults. We were talking a little bit beforehand just about previous life and talk a little bit just about what you learned in the early stages. You know, we always talk about the disparities of Black and brown communities and what that looks like mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. That financial piece of growing up, really trying to gain that understanding. Talk a little bit about what it looked like to you for your eyes to be open to the financial piece of the world. What it looked like for what that looked like for you.
I guess I'll go back to when I was a little boy, man. It's like I didn't even realize what I was looking at. So, for example, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, and right next to Augusta is a county, Columbia County. And sometimes riding in that car with my parents coming from Augusta, and we're going like 20, 30 minutes away, I noticed that the houses were bigger, the cars were nicer, the people looked different. And I just remember like, man, I want one of these houses. But it never hit me that all the people look a certain type of way where I stay, and all the people look a certain type of way where they stay. As I got older, that's when it kind of really started hitting me. And I think the last kind of straw for me was I think around 2015, 16, somewhere in there. I was working a construction job, and the dude who was my manager at the time, he was way younger than me, like he was in his early 20s. And we were just on our lunch break, and he was talking about this house that he had. He said his grandfather left him a house, and he was just saying, what he was going to do with the house, and he's going to buy another house. And I'm like, damn, this dude is 24 years old, and here I am, just barely crossing over into 30 at that time. It's like, I don't even have a house yet, and I'm like, nobody left me nothing. And he had this belt buckle. He was like, his granddaddy left him this belt buckle that he wore to work every day on the construction site. So that just kind of hit home with me, and I was just thinking,
What was the race of this person?
oh, he was a white guy, of course. Mm-hmm. And I was just, I thought back to my granddaddy, and I was just like, man, a lot of times I saw my granddaddy, he was drunk a lot of times. He rode a bicycle. He didn't have a car. He didn't have a house. And it's like, damn, I never got a chance to go to my granddaddy's house. I never got a chance to ride in my granddaddy's car. He didn't have these things. So, of course, when he died, he didn't have anything to pass down to me because he didn't have anything to pass down to his children. And again, I didn't want that for mine. And I'm not going to have that for mine.
Right. And I think that's so important because I think it's many times when there's, again, just the disparities of the Black and brown communities. There's the definition of ignorance is lacking knowledge. So the ignorance of just not knowing anything better than where they are. I remember working with one of my sorority sisters after I graduated college. She worked in a very small town in Alabama, and many of the young ladies in the town that we were working with had never been to the mall, had never been to the movies, had never been in a clothing store. And it's just because all they knew was their community. All they knew was the small town that they were in. And I remember just being a part of the exposure that they had to, the world, because they didn't know anything outside of their city. And when you think about that, and you think about the communities that we grew up in or that we lived in, or those that may be worse than that, there's so much that they don't know. And a lot of times, there's the phrase, they don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
In a sense, because all they know is what they've seen, so they don't realize that there's something greater or that there's something better.
Absolutely. I mean,
no, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
To your point, I was just thinking about, being little growing up where I grew up, we always adequated success with cars, rims, gold chains, walking around with just not some money in your pocket just because, shoes, clothes. So nobody never pulled me to the side as a kid or a young man and was like, hey, invest in some property. or A, invest in this, that, A, buy life insurance, just something like that. So to your point, you don't know what you don't know. So this is what success looked like to me as a kid. So that's what I always thought success was.
Right. And you just said a key thing. I mean, I know so many people who do not have life insurance.
And that's the quickest way to build wealth for your family
It
once you
is
leave.
the quickest way. I remember as a single person, I mean, and some people are gonna think this is crazy. I remember as a single person when I was still in the military having $1 million in life insurance. And I never, because obviously I deployed, so they give you a certain amount for being a soldier deploying. And then I had my own policies outside of that because I was like, if something happens to me, I am currently the breadwinner of my family. What about my mom, my sister, my brother, this, that, and the other? And I made it my business to have $1 million in life insurance. Now I'm a mom of 3 with a husband. I don't have $1 million in life insurance, but I still have, enough to make sure that everybody is good.
Absolutely.
If something were to happen. But I want you to talk a little bit about, because of what you know, because of the things you have learned even now, just as a grown man, talk about what it is that you're choosing to expose your children to this particular season.
Everything. Everything. And I'm not playing. I'm so random and spontaneous. I want them to, because you never know. I have a lot of hidden talents and I would have never known had I not tried those things. And to me, it just didn't matter. Whatever it was, I was going to try it. Some stuff worked out, some didn't. Some things I liked, some things I did not like. So when it comes to my kids, and my son calls them Gen Z. I think that's the era now, Generation Z, something like that.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Those particular kids have no initiative. They have no drive, no ambition. They have no real curiosity outside of what's in front of them. And I mean, I force my kids sometimes to try things and do things, and I have no shame about it. If they can try it and then they love it, I mean, it's worth it. Yeah. But you never know. You can't tell me you don't like something you never tried. And that's just the bottom line.
That's the number one thing I try to tell my kids. Like, Mommy, I don't like broccoli. Have you tried the broccoli? We have a rule in our house with food specifically, and with other things. You have to try it once to tell me you don't like it. You can't tell me you don't like something if you don't try it. And I'm the type of person too. If I pay for something now, like my son, he was doing karate. If I pay for something, you got to finish it until it's paid for. After that, if you don't want to do it, that's okay. But you got to see it through. Absolutely. If I paid for you.
Yeah, and with the food thing, it's crazy because, they'll pout, they'll whatever when it comes to an activity. But it was so easy for us to transition to the vegan lifestyle. And I'm like, y'all are so bad. Like, the thing that I was expecting for y'all to push back on was the easiest thing for us to do. And people will say, man, you force your kids to, I don't force them, but I ain't cooking nothing else. So, I mean, either you eat or you don't, but I'm not going to force you. But, it's fun, when me and my wife, we try to find new things to cook, different ways of eating. And I think the kids, they enjoy it too. And I just explained to them very simple. Listen, you know better, you do better. Now, one of my favorite meals was that chicken. Let me tell you something. The chicken family, they probably got a picture of me in their wall. If you see this man, run the other way. I promise you. Because I will mess some chicken up. That is chicken, fried chicken, baked chicken, rotisserie chicken, chicken wings. Man, I'm talking about. Anyway. Oh boy, got me thinking about chicken again. But like I told him, at the end of the day, it is a carcass that you're eating. It's a dead body. There's no other way around it. So once I educated them on that and put it to them that way, I think it was easier for them to be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, let me take a step back. Yeah. And with our younger children, by them being so, young, it was very easy for them. So like
they just eat whatever you give them.
Exactly. So my 2-year-old is like, what is meat?
Right.
What is that?
Yeah, and it's so crazy because I mean, my house isn't vegan. We don't eat beef or pork. We do eat chicken, and or seafood. Whenever we do eat meat. And but my youngest son, my 1-year old, he doesn't eat meat. He's tried it. He had a Chick-fil-A chicken nugget. He tasted, he chewed it up and spit it out.
Because he probably said Chick-fil-A was overrated. Take me his asses, mom. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's why he did that.
I don't know about that, but I just know he's tried meat on many occasions and he doesn't like it. He doesn't eat it. So he loves fruits and vegetables. He loves water. Okay. People always ask me, how do you get your kids to drink water? I'm like, because that's all I drink at my house. They gonna drink what they have. So people are always surprised when my children are out. They're like, Mommy, can I have some water? And they're like, how do you get your kids to? I'm like, why are your children not drinking water? Is the question you should be asking. Like,
introduce it to them at an early age.
Because
we've never done sodas with our kids. Like, never. Even to this day, like, my 13-year-old, she ain't really trying to drink no soda. So,
and it's good. It's terrible for their skin, for their bodies. I tell people all the time, you got to think about this. When you think about body odors, when you think about acne, when you think about all these things, you have to realize that everything that you put into your body has to have a place to come out. Whether that's your, obviously your digestive system, natural bodily things, or it's through your skin.
Absolutely.
That layer of skin. So whatever you're putting in, just know that it's at some point it's got to come out of your body however it can. And so that's why a lot of people, I tell people, when you get a pimple, you need to look up the chart. There's a chart that kind of displays what the pimple means and the area that it's in, whether it's kidney, digestive system or whatever on your face. There's a chart that displays to you what's going on with your body based on where you get your acne. And it kind of helps you better understand like what it is that you need to do. And so I know that the vegan transition for you guys was a little bit different. What are some of your favorite foods right now that you eat, since you're no longer eating meat?
Let me say something. I love fried oyster mushrooms.
Because they taste like chicken.
It does. It really does. It really does. Not even lying. I'm talking in the same way. I'm talking about, man, I had lemon pepper fried oyster mushrooms. I had honey barbecue fried oyster mushrooms. I had a oyster mushroom po' boy sandwich. So I'm finding ways. You know what I mean? What else do I like? I like vegetables. So I love making my own, basically like hibachi type. Zucchini, squash, mushrooms, onions, peppers on top of fried rice and everything.
Do you all eat white rice?
Yeah, jasmine rice.
Jasmine rice. Okay.
Yeah, okay. And the jasmine rice is actually better, if you want to put it on the griddle, add like the soy sauce and teriyaki and all that, for the vegetables. But I could eat those vegetables every single day. I love veggie burgers. And listen, the Impossible Whopper is excellent at Burger King.
Oh yes, we eat that. My husband grew up vegan. So
see, that's gonna be my children right there.
Yeah, my husband grew up vegan, so he knew what to do. It was like, I think he said when he got to college, having the opportunity to be out on his own, he just started trying stuff to see what he liked and didn't like, and he realized he didn't like it. So he did eat a little bit of chicken, but he grew up vegan.
It's just not good for your body all around. I feel the difference. When I would eat, burgers, wings, steaks. I used to love eating steaks and shrimp and all that cheese and macaroni. And I noticed how my body would feel. But now, when I eat something, it's like I'm not lethargic. I'm not sitting around. I'm not feeling gassy and bloated. And, it's a lot of Black people that wonder why when they drink milk and eat cheese and butter, it's like, oh, it don't agree with me. Stop eating it. Like, our bodies were not designed to eat that stuff. That's why so many of us, are lactose intolerant. But I love almond milk. I love it.
Oh yeah, almond milk. And I'm not sure, have you ever had oat milk?
No.
Oat milk is really good as well. My brother, he lives in California, and he has had problems with almond milk. So he transitioned to oat milk, and he absolutely loves. He's like, I never thought I would eat cereal ever again in my life, but now because he's found oat milk, he's been doing that.
Tell your brother what Pop said. You better put some water on that. Mm-hmm.
put some water.
Better put some water on that. That's what Pop said.
That's what Pop said, and now he ain't tell no lies. So
gospel. That's gospel right there.
Yes. Now you put up a post. So you have a group.
Yes. Transparency on Facebook. Please, if you are a parent or if you want to be a parent, you're an aspiring parent, go follow the group. It's a lot of interesting conversations, a lot of things that will help you guys in there. It's called Transparency, spelled transparency. Because sometimes a lot of parents, we don't have all the answers. We're too ashamed, too embarrassed to go ask those questions. So I wanted to create a platform where parents can go feel free to have those open discussions without being judged, and have people who are maybe seasoned in that particular subject matter to reach out, give them a jewel, man, give them some knowledge. Like, that's why I call it the parenting community. Sorry, Amber, now go ahead with your question.
No, that was fine. I was gonna tell you to tell us about the group. So
okay.
You did well.
Yes.
And then so there was a question that you posed on the group that we agreed to discuss tonight. Because you talked about parenting, you know, and you talked about, you said I would like for you to phrase it the way you phrase it, because I don't want to misphrase it.
What I said was, let's end co-parenting and let's start teen parenting. And of course, you have people on Facebook that love to debate. Yes. You have some people who genuinely ask for understanding, and that's cool too. But it just kind of baffles me sometimes, again, I've been Black all my life. That ain't changing.
What? Really? You have?
Yes. And I've been around certain situations all my life. And what I've noticed is a lot of times when people have children together and they're not together, they put this phrase on it, we're just going to co-parent. And what I see is, okay, when they with you, you do your thing. And when they with me, I'm going to do my thing. You don't call me, don't talk to me unless about the child, yada, yada, yada. So whatever I decide to do when they with me, that's it. Blah. And in my opinion, it shouldn't be like that. And if you think about the word co, the prefix co, we know what it means. However, when has a co ever been good? Think about it. A co-signer, coexisting, some co-workers.
Codependent.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like the only good co that I can think about was co-ed. Like, just being real. Like a co-ed dorm. Right. But I just, but for real though, man, it's like when you have a kid or a child with somebody, y'all got to realize y'all on the same team. It's different in calling somebody a teammate versus a co-parent. And people don't believe that there's power in words. And even the term, baby mama, baby daddy, like I used to use those terms, but I've been stopped using those terms. I'm like, that's my child's mom, or this my child's dad, because it's such a negative connotation behind these words. So that is all I was really trying to say and put out there, for the confused people. We just need more teen parenting. You shouldn't have, when the child goes here, the other parent doesn't exist. Nah, so when my son and my daughter, when they're with me, over time to time, I'm like, hey, call your mom. Just for no reason, pick up the phone. Hey, talk to your mom. That's your mama. And it should be the same way, on the other end, for everybody. Yeah. So that's what I mean, teen parenting.
Yeah. And I mean, now that you explain it, because I was one of the people like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but let's end non-parenting is what I said. Like people who just have kids and just don't parent at all, but I absolutely agree with what you're saying, because my children are blessed. My husband and I are together, all three of them have the same father. So they are considered an anomaly in the Black community.
And that's sad. That they're considered an anomaly, And that's why too, I feel like I'm the type of person, I'm not going to preach to anybody. people do ask me questions. So when they ask, I like to share my knowledge. But I'm not gonna tell you anything that I have not walked across myself. So I've been through a lot in my life, and a lot of stuff has been self-inflicted, and it's cool. I live to tell about it. So it's like now I feel like it's my job and my duty to give my testimony, man. If I could, help somebody else or even stop somebody from doing something crazy or making a bad mistake, then that's what I'm trying to do. Especially the 5 in my household that I'm responsible for raising.
Right. The people that you have an immediate effect on them and their lives, and I think that's an excellent point to make, because sometimes people are so focused on the things outside of their home that they forget to have a positive impact on the people that are within their home. And when I made the statement on the post about non-parenting, because I am Black and have grown up in similar neighborhoods.
Yes, you are.
I don't know if people can see that. But there are so many people that grow up in situations where a parent is not present. I'm not going to even say the father. There are many cases where the mother is not present, and there are 2 angles to that. Black women, when giving birth, die in much larger numbers than other cultures, because we are seen to be stronger, not having any problems, and there's a lack of belief in when it comes to us in medical terms. We supposed to be strong. It's never anything wrong. So the numbers as far as Black women giving birth and dying is much higher than in a lot of other cultures. So there's that aspect. And then obviously there's the incarceration aspect for the male parent that may or may not be present.
And let's just be real. Let's get to the elephant in the room. You just have some people that they don't want to be bothered.
That's where
and then you have some okay, and then you have some people that just, you know what, if he ain't gonna be with me, then he ain't gonna be with that child. We gonna be all right without you. Dude look like, what you mean we? You know what I mean? And you have that. And then you have some dudes that's like, you know what, if I can't have you, then I don't want the child.
Yes. And you hit the nail on the head. That's where I was going with it. We have those left and right ends that are actual issues. And then we have those folks, large number of folks in the middle that have chosen just not to deal with the child, just not to deal with the other parent, because it's both male and female, just chosen not to deal with the other parent and have just completely walked away. That's what I would consider non-parenting.
And just me being a man, and being a dad and having to go through that whole, what they call it, custodial, non-custodial, going through all of that. If you a man and you got some kids out here and you won't take care of your kids, I can't rock with you. I just can't. Like, I can't. It's no excuse. I don't care what she did. I don't care what she doing. It ain't no excuse. Trust me.
And what you're saying is just, it hit because there are so many males that do, and females that don't take care of their children, and they have friends that don't check them.
Absolutely.
Friends and family. That don't check them.
We have a very toxic culture, and it's like we don't want to admit that our culture is toxic. And then as soon as somebody calls the toxic behavior out, then they're the problem. And it's just, I hope that, it can get better and we can stop that, but I just don't know. But, as for me and mine, I just got to focus on, what I got going on right now. So it used to bother me. I used to want to, climb to the mountaintop and preach to the people and try to help, but you got to help yourself. You got to want to help yourself. And if anybody needs my help along the way, then I help. If anybody knows me, they know I will help. I will do whatever I can to help you. But you got to help yourself first. Get rid of all these excuses. But nobody wants, especially if you were man. If you a man, a black man at that, you don't got time for no excuses, bro. Get out my face. Straight up.
Excuses are monuments of nothing that build bridges that lead to nowhere.
Better
And
say
those who
that.
use them are masters and accomplices of nothing. Okay.
Shout
Listen, we know.
shout out to the 1911. The real one.
And the 1908. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen.
Let's hold up. I don't want no confusion. The real 1911.
No, Lord.
The first ones in the
I'm
nah,
not
man.
getting into.
Shout out to them, my partners, man. They're my partners. Shout out to
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that because
man, you know we have to go back and forth with
I
them
know,
cues.
and there's some cues on my timeline. Okay.
Yeah, I hope they watching.
They will.
Yeah.
You ain't got to worry about it. And I'll get them messages. Oh,
absolutely.
You need one of us on. It's some cute ass out there.
We do absolutely. Now listen, before we get back to the subject, real quick. Listen, you know, I've been to my fair share of the pretty nasty parties back in the day, so I love the cues, man, cues and capitals.
Listen.
Yeah.
College.
Absolutely.
Let's move on. Okay.
Yes.
Let's move on. Okay. So one thing I want to talk about too, because it's already 9:30, so we only have a few more minutes. But one thing I want to talk about too is like recognizing gifts in your children. Mm-hmm. So, especially with you know, girls and boys, you can identify gifts differently. Talk a little bit about the gifts that you've identified in your children and what you're doing to cultivate those gifts.
Okay, I'll start with my son. He's the oldest. We're the total opposite, right? So honestly, it took me a long time to be okay with that. And just being real. As a dad, you always dream about having a son. You want your son to be just like you. You want to march like you, talk like you, walk like you, bark like all that. But in my case, it's the total opposite. And it was hard to grasp that. But what I am noticing about him is he's very intelligent. He's not scared to be himself. He's a leader. He's not a vocal leader. So he's not going to be the one that's like leading the pack, but he's a leader just with his actions. My oldest daughter, I think she's just now realizing her potential and she's coming out of her shell. I've been trying to pull her out of her shell for so long. And I feel like now, since she's entering into high school next year, and she'll be going to my high school where I teach. So I brought her there. I introduced her to everybody. So it's just like, hey, what you want, whatever you want to do, you know, you can do it. And, you know, I could just see the glow up in her personality. So I think she's still on that journey, but it is cool to kind of go on that journey with her and to watch her. Now, that middle child, that is where all the personality is. That is the one child that I feel like can try and do anything. She really reminds me a lot of myself. And it's kind of scary at the same time because it's like, you know, are you gonna be able to tame this beast that you're helping to cultivate, as you say? Are you gonna be able to contain it when it needs to be contained? So that's my only concern with that one. And the jury's still out on my little babies, but I can see a lot of personalities. Like my 6-year-old, I call her my meditating munchkin. So she's into, you know, she's meditating with me. She's a sunflower. She's, you know, she's smart. She's brilliant. She speaks well. Now my 2-year-old, that you saw the post when I said describe, you know, your youngest child.
Yeah. Uh-oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, you went out for a second.
Okay, well, I was just saying, whatever their gifts are, no matter what it is, I'm going to invest into them 1,000%. My oldest daughter did tell me that she wants to be into real estate. She told me this maybe when she was about 8 or 9, I'm thinking. I was downstairs watching like HGTV one day, and she just came in there and she was watching it. Ever since then, she's like, that's what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, cool. But listen, that ain't this and this ain't that. So let's talk about what's real and what's reality.
Right.
So
this is TV.
Exactly. But she knows what's real. And we basically talked about just financial freedom. At the dinner table, I'm real big on all of us eating dinner together. Everybody. Yes. So when we eating dinner, I'm telling them, I'm going around, okay, what you want to do? What you want to do? What you want to do? And I'm like, at the end of the day, it don't matter what you want to do. Everybody in here has the same goal. And that same goal is financial freedom. You're just going to have a different way to get there. Right. So as long as y'all understand, the goal ain't to go get no job. The goal ain't to go start no business. The goal ain't, no. The goal is financial freedom by any means necessary. Legally. Absolutely.
Keyword. I think it's so good that you're doing that. My family is big on sitting together for dinner. They always say our family, people, I mean, you and your husband so old school, but I think even at 1, 5, and 6, just sitting down, creating the idea or concept that this is what's right, that I'm supposed to sit down with my family. Absolutely. And eat dinner every night. And they get upset. I'm like, no tablets, no phones, none of that is allowed at the table. We're going to sit and we're going to talk. I told him, I said, I don't care if my kids have gotten so routine. They're to the point where as soon as we sit down at the table, like, so daddy, how was your day?
Exactly.
But I told him, I said, you have to ask people questions and, inquire about them. And then feel free to be open and tell your truth. And even at 5 and 6, my son has been drumming since he was like 2. So he's he's really, really loves music. And my daughter is the same. She loves music. She's been playing the piano for the past like 2 years. And she's 6. But they both are what I would consider creatives, because even though they love music right now at this time, that may turn to something else. And even at 6, absolutely, my daughter told me she didn't know the word real estate. She was like, Mommy, I want to sell houses. And she came in the house one day, set up her little booth and little station in the hallway, and she did a showing. She did a showing of her room. She said the room was for sale, and she did a showing. She walked us through. She had made her own little flyer, and she was like, I'm showing a house at 2:00. Everybody come and view it. Wow. And she was like, I want you guys to come and see the house. And she's like, okay, so the bed is over here.
Manifestation.
Exactly. She was like, the bed is over here. If you want to play, this is a great place to play. She doesn't realize what she's doing. But when she was doing it, I was just like, I posted on, I think I did a Facebook story, and I was like, so today my daughter was a real estate agent, and this is what she did. And it was just beautiful to see that their imagination, that their minds are not closed.
And that's another thing. I want us to stop killing kids' creativity. And that's what I feel like a lot of schools have done and are doing. Because once you kill a child's imagination, I mean, you pretty much almost put a cap on their ceiling. So we got to embrace their imagination, man. Imagination leads to innovation.
Yes, it does.
And, that dinner time thing, man, I was thinking back when my kids were going into middle school. We were sitting around, and when I was little, we would call it jiving. We would jive on each other.
Yeah.
People call it roasting. They call it the dozens. So exactly. So I'm like, okay, let me hear what you got. So me being the one thing about me, even though I'm a dad, I'm gonna always be me first. So I would just start roasting them, like what their head, them ears, or something, like, girl, what? Going at them. And I just wanted to see what they would do in return. And when I first saw what they did, I was like, oh, no, I can't even set y'all up. Like, I can't send y'all to school like that. Like, yeah, y'all on the honor roll, but you need to learn how to roast somebody if you need to. So I practice with them on how to roast people, because I'm not, at that time, I really didn't know what the insides of their schools were like. I just know what my school was like.
Right.
And you had to be able to...
Had to have some thick skin.
You had to be able to clap back, so I wanted them to have that. And I'm like, listen, you got to have a couple of them ready. So I'm like, hey, when you get to class, I need you to survey the class. Whoever the funniest person is, that's the first person who you need to automatically get 5 jokes for. Get 5 of them ready for the funniest person because they coming. You got to, and if you go back and forth with the funniest person, they'll leave you alone. They'll become an ally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this may sound mean or bad, but hey, you never know. Some people get to chuckling too hard. You know how it is when somebody laughing too hard, be like, hold up, bro, what you laughing at?
What you laughing at?
Exactly. So it's like, hey.
Oh, so you think it's funny?
You think it's funny? Well, come here. So that's what I did. And I think they've come a long way. They're definitely
I've seen some of your roasting sessions. I've seen some of the ones you posted.
They're definitely they're not lip sparring champions like their father, but I feel like they won't just crumble because somebody said something about them.
Yeah.
But it's just really creating those moments at the dinner table, though. That's really what it was all about. So we just find fun ways to, I love eating dinner with my family. So.
Right. Well, we have, we're running out of time. It's
already?
Already, it's almost 9:45. Okay. But tell people a little bit about where they can find you, what you're doing, because you guys have a great song that I played over and over again for my kids called Snacks.
Oh, so, appreciate it.
Ain't
you tired of buying snacks?
Ain't you tired of buying snacks?
Let me tell you something. That song, even though a lot of people enjoyed it, that was a real song. And that song, I was pissed off when I wrote that song.
It was very real.
You know what I can't stand? And I just got onto them about this last week. I go to the cabinets and it's an empty box. I don't even remember what it was. But I'm like, now I know when I bought this, it was full. I seen that it was open a couple of times, but I'm like, you know what? It's cool. As I come back, some will be in there. So when I go with my mouth, you know how old Vera say on Harlem Nights, had my mouth eating some, and it was nothing in there, and nothing drives me up the wall than finding an empty freaking box somewhere.
Whew.
But yes, Snacks is based on a very true story. Kids, they're snacky to damn death. Snacking, you just wake up talking about, can I get a snack? Especially the little ones.
Yes.
So I know how it is. So we wrote that one for all the mamas, as she say in the song, all the mamas, single mamas, married mamas, baby mamas, grandmamas, all the bad mama jumpers. But yes, go follow us on Instagram at The Major Family. You can follow me on Facebook, Leonard McCrary, YouTube, The Major Family. And we're currently under construction. So, we're working on some things. It is, difficult when you're balancing career, family, and the arts. So it's a lot.
Yes. And then also for the parents who are listening, don't forget about the group Transparent C. Okay. Yes. It's a great place. I'm there. He's there. Yes. But this is a great place for conversation. And then if you have a question about something, many times parents will just post a question or, just post something for discussion just to kind of get everybody's feedback on. I mean, because there's no book, there's no guide to parenting. People have written books.
People about say that, parenting. But we're actually writing the book, I feel like.
Yeah.
We are making it current.
Yeah, we are.
Our parents didn't deal with technology. They didn't deal with cyberbullying. They didn't deal with, some of the things that we're having to deal with. So that's why I feel like people can go back, search through the group. They can find a post that's relatable to them. And you never know, you might find a treasure or a jewel in there. Parents, they send me messages sometimes and they're like, hey, can you ask this for me? Or can you post this for me? And I'm like, hey, sure. Because one thing about it, ain't no shame in my game, even if I have a question, or I'm going to post it. And I ain't worried about no judgment. I say, let he who throw the first, you know how I go, say that. I know you know how I go. Let
he who cast the first stone.
There it is. There it is. That's what I was about to say. Before you took the words out of my mouth.
But listen, this has been fantastic. I greatly, greatly appreciate you. We don't get a lot of dads often. That's why I was like, would you please be willing to?
What's up with that? Like, even in the group, I noticed,
dads, they just, it's always the moms.
When we post something, 200 comments, 178 will be moms and the other will be dads. Like, come on, dads, It's our time.
It is. And you know what?
Dad's taking over for the 2020.
I'm gonna add my husband. I don't think my husband is in the transparency group.
Shame on you.
I know. Shame on me.
Shame on you.
But I'm gonna add him because
don't just tell him he got to say something.
Oh, but the problem is he will.
Dad, it ain't no problem. We need more dads. It's interesting because I know we got to go, but moms and dads have different perspectives on things because we see the worlds differently. I think based on our genders and our experiences.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people.
Men are problem solvers.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying, because a lot of people, or a lot of women in my family look at me sometimes like the way that I raised my son, and it's like, hey man, ease up. And I'm like, no. My walk that I had to walk through, I wouldn't have made it if I would have stayed like how he is right now. And I get it because he's only 13. Mm-hmm. However, I know what's coming. I know what's coming, bro. And can't nobody tell you better than the man who don't walk through it himself. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna get him ready. He may not like it at times, and but hey, it is what it is.
They may not like it, but it's okay.
He survived.
I tell my daughter all the time. I tell her all the time when she's like, I said, Madison, you don't have to like anything. All you have to do is what I said.
Make sure it's with understanding though, because I make sure I explain.
Oh yeah, I always that's the opposite. Now that's something that I've talked about in the past. Is the fact that the way we were raised is not the way we can raise our children. Absolutely. To be seen and not heard.
Absolutely.
We can't do that now. It's just, it doesn't work. That's not the times that we're in. So I definitely don't have a problem explaining. I'm not the parent who's like, do it just because I said so. No, do it because this is something that will be detrimental to your health, or because this is something that mommy has told you, isn't good, whatever. I don't mind explaining because you have to these days, because otherwise you'll be raising terrible human beings who know nothing about life and are, get exposed to stuff by other people.
Yeah, and wrong. Like, then last thing, like I was telling my son, like, dude, you're 13 now. So right now we working on the whole presence thing. We working on, how you walk into a room. And I'm just like, hey man, loosen up a little bit. You walk like he's the Tin Man from, Wizard of Oz. Like, bro, chill out a little bit. Like, it's cool. But I know why he walk. Listen, I know why he walking like that, but this I ain't gonna say right now because it's rated G, but his walk gonna change.
Right.
Down the road.
But he get a little more exposure.
Exactly. But, I'm just telling him, I'm saying, hey, man, listen, make sure you have a watch on. He ain't
gained his swagger yet.
Not yet. But I'm just like working. I'm like, listen, make sure you have a watch on, when you leave the house. Make sure you have on, your scented oils or whatever. I'm like, when you enter a room, I'm like, your presence and your aroma need to enter the room first before you even open your mouth and say anything.
Yeah.
So those are the types of things you're working on, making eye contact. Before COVID, it was shaking hands, but now, hey, boom, fist bump. Your first name and your last name.
Or head
talking loud. Exactly. But it's just somebody, I can't stand this. I have a class right now, and they are 9th graders. But when I talk to them, they don't talk back. So it's like, hey, how y'all doing? And I can't stand that. So that's why I tell my son, listen, if I say something to you, you say something back. That's how conversation works. See, I say something, then you say something. You don't.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine.
Exactly. I didn't nod my head or grunt at you, so don't you nod your head and grunt at me. And my kids know better anyway, because I've made a lot of changes. But back in the day, I would knock you through a wall. I talk to you, you talk back. You say something. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, don't ignore me. Don't.
Yeah, it wasn't ignoring. It was just the.
That's even worse.
That's what. That's even worse. See, I would just fly off the handle, but thanks to my meditation,
What movie was that? Tina Turner.
Hey, we used to laugh at Tina. I know I used to crank it up on Tina, but hey, it's really real.
It's real.
It's real. For the people that are watching, if you have never heard of sound bathing, Google it, YouTube it. I have my own sound bowls. I sit my entire family down, except for the 2-year-old, of course. She do what she want to do. But I hit the sound bowls. We all meditate. We clear our minds. We inhale all the good stuff and exhale all the bad stuff. I replace that word with another word when I'm in my home. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it actually works and it balances you
Yes.
out. It's a time for
Yes.
you to reset, re-energize, rebalance,
Keyword
refocus.
balance.
Exactly.
Balance.
So you have to find something that, you know, recenters your gravity or gets you back to your center. And it took me a long time to get there. You know, I used to have so much animosity. I had to have the last word, you know, vengeance, revenge, you know, because I don't mess with nobody. So it's like, you mess with me, full throttle, I got to come for your neck. But now,
I'm so sorry you feel that way. And carry on. Yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. I greatly appreciate you. The male point of view and the male perspective is just so important. I think that so many people, especially in parenting, are always hearing from moms. They're always hearing from a female. So I greatly, greatly appreciate you just being willing to share, be open. As Pastor Michael Ty says, be hot, humble, open, and transparent.
Absolutely.
So I greatly appreciate that, you know, because everybody has to live in their truth and everybody has to be able to share their truth. And I greatly appreciate you just as a dad, as a husband, just being willing to share, you know, what it is that you do for your home and how that works. And listen, everything that he's doing for his home may not work for your home. The thing is, you have to take the time to figure out what works for your household. Take bits and pieces and see what works. Try it out to see what works for your home, works for your kids. Every child is different. So I greatly appreciate you guys.
Thank you for having me. We got to do this again.
We will. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Mommy Mondays. Hopefully you had a chance to sip a little something and say a little something. Okay. We greatly appreciate you guys. You all have a great night. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Peace and blessings.